Hey! Greetings from Dystopia, episode 225, Tech Tuesday. Slightly different digs today. I started to do the episode over on the bench, and it was just trying to shoot top down and show a lot of this stuff, and then using the SSH client that we talked about using on the phone. It just, hey, made it a little dark. But yeah, it just made it too cumbersome for that. So when we get more into the tech sides of it, I'll start doing some top downs on the video. Today's more or less just a quick talk about the devices and to answer a couple user questions. I should have had all my stuff over here before. I don't like it because my camera, my view of myself is over here on my monitor. So if you see me going like this, that's why. I'm looking at the camera to make sure that I'm on the view. Real quick questions and some answers here. I didn't quite get everything set up. Again, this is kind of an ad hoc thing. Curtis or Kurt? Which do you go by? I know several Kurts, and one of them is a Curtis. He goes by Kurt. So anyways, you send a message asking about the 0W, and you've got it hooked up to your computer, but you can't SSH to it. First question, did you turn on SSH? That's question number one. Number two, which micro USB are you plugged into? If you're plugged into the first one like that, that is power only. So if you enabled SSH by the text file option, which tells me you're following somebody else's video too, which is cool because you're moving at another step. But if you're hooked up to that first micro USB connection, you won't be able to SSH into it. You need to plug into the second one. You need to be configured like that. Then you can have it. Only this one is power only, this very first one here, and then this one is power, it's USB data, and it's also OTG or on-the-go cable connection. So that would be your I'm almost positive that if you enabled SSH by text file in the config, then this is the problem. You're just plugged into the wrong port. Piece of cake, but that's also why I pointed it out, because that is, I bet you I do that 2 or 3 times a year, just not thinking about it. Suddenly I'll be like, why can't I connect to this? Because I've plugged it into the wrong freaking port, that's why. But yeah, it's stupid stuff, and that's usually what will bite you in the butt, is you just forget something simple. My daughter asked the question, and I think it's worth reiterating for the micro SD card. Capacity is up to you. I will say that 8 gig can be a little tight depending on what you're trying to do, so I would think I would go with a 16. Typically the price difference between an 8 gig micro SD and a 16 gig is usually only a couple dollars, so err on the side of the larger one. For the one that's running right now that I'm working on for this project, I have an 8 gig. This will be the second one for the project for my use, and it's going to have a 32 gig. Next week we will talk about loading these things up and walking them through. Today is just to kind of catch up on a couple questions I had come in. Another one was, what are we going to use for a case? Mine, I've opted to use the Flirk case. Sorry, I got a message. Okay, I'm waiting on them to be delivered, so them not being delivered in time kind of changed the way today's video is going to work, but that's okay, we can kind of catch up on things. But yeah, what was I going to do for a case? Initially I was just going to use the default Raspberry Pi 0W case, which you can buy as part of a kit or buy them separate for just a couple dollars. The Zero just simply, I should probably stand up to do this. The Zero simply snaps into the case with the micro SD in it, and you take it and you put the cover on it and you're done. So now it's in a full case. But I kind of like the idea of it being a key fob. And Flirc, F-L-I-R-C, just released an aluminum case for the zeros. Same size, but it's aluminum with a black cover, top and bottom. And that's what I decided to use on it. I'll put a little key ring down in the corner, so it's a key fob on my keys, and be done with it. So there's the case question. What's some of the other questions? What kind of things can we do? Blah, blah, blah. You know, like right now, excuse me, we're just going to set this up for messaging. Trying to think of what some of the other questions. They were all just more questions from friends rather than people that are following along. But, you know, like we talked about last week, secure messaging we could do on it. We could do just conventional email. Conventional email could be done by a plain text interface called Alpine. Some of you might recognize this if you've been around for a while. Alpine used to be called Pine. Right now this one is not configured, it's just installed, because I'm running through this ahead of time before I do, you know, the main let's do this all video, because we're still fleshing out ideas. So yeah, you could do basic, basic menuing or basic text-based email on here. There's a lot of other things you could do. Another question was, okay, so this is a Windows user who's familiar with Task Manager and wanted to know how to see what tasks are running and how to kill them. The conventional way is top. Top is installed on Linux by default. I think every distribution uses top. And you can see right up at the top, you can see what tasks are running, both by name and by process ID, how much memory, how much CPU they're using, who owns the process, on and on and on. Quick and dirty, I like HTOP, which is, I think it's available for all platforms, but all Debian platforms install it by default. I don't know if Red Hat does or not. I am primarily an Ubuntu or Raspbian Linux user. Those are all Debian based. Raspbian is what you're seeing here on the Raspberry Pi. We are connected by Wi-Fi to the Raspberry Pi I was playing with last week. It is plugged into a power brick, but it is using my phone as a hotspot. Still working out the proof of concept on that. So you'll see it's actually working pretty good. Although I am connected to it by its local IP address, it's still on the network over the hotspot on my phone. That was fun to figure out. Sorry, I'm season changed, the heat kicked in, and I need to hook up a humidifier down here because the air is very dry. But then again, the heater is 20 feet away from me. So, let me get a cough drop. Oh yeah, Ricola, best cough drop on the planet, next to Ludens. You guys remember that when you were a kid, you would fake a cough to get a Ludens? I guess that's an age thing, maybe. I don't know. You'll have to tell me if you're watching. If you know it by age only, then okay. Then yeah, I'm old. All right, so HTOP, basically the same thing. We can see our CPU usage, our memory usage, swap. Yeah, the number of processes that are running, process ID, process owner, memory. It's a lot of the same information, but it's a little more colorful. So yeah, that's the basics of that. So the other thing I like about Alpine, so let's just go back in real quick and take a look at that. It's going to get some beeps because it's handing me information saying, you know, the mail domain is not correct here, right? Your address in mail is not correct. Okay, because it's not configured. With Alpine, you can access virtually any POP or IMAP mail spool on any machine. You can get Gmail on here. So, gives you some things to think about. Gives me some stuff to think about. The other thing I like about Alpine, and you'll see, so just take a look at the menu system here as we move around, right? Our commands are there. Go into a folder. All our commands are changing, right? You can see them. So let's quit out of there. If you're new to Linux or new to RasPi, in this case, one of the other things you'll see is you'll have to edit some text files from within the environment at some point down the road. You're going to have to edit them, so get comfortable with doing it. But the other thing is Pico is a text editor. Whoa, does that look familiar? I'm trying to standardize so that the interfaces look the same between the different programs. Control X. No, we don't want to save modified, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, we talked about we could use this for email only. So all our mail is kept here. We don't have to log into somebody else's computer, so the privacy things are there. Again, you'll be able to use a terminal, an SSH terminal from the phone to access that. That's the way my daughter and I are going to rig this. But as you may or may not have caught with Kurt is looking at the idea of using a USB to micro SD cable to allow him to use someone else's computer, but then secure shell into his little, I should have kept it. So he would just walk in. Of course, I took the 0 out, but he would hook up his cable, and I just did it to the wrong port, plug it into someone else's computer, use their computer to SSH secure shell into his 0, and go get his mail. So it's all here. Nothing is kept on that person's host. That's the whole idea of this, is to give us as much flexibility as possible. So like I said earlier, it was asked how, what other communication can we do on this? Well, we can do IRC, which is Internet Relay Chat, text only. There's a lot of other text-based add-ons to other text messaging platforms. I don't believe Facebook supports text-only messaging for Messenger. Anyone? Bueller? Anybody know? And then the other thing we can do too is, let's go to Vertrauen, Syncro.net. Some of you guys are just your head's going to explode in a minute, because A, you've never seen it, or you're going to have a complete flashback to an old school bulletin board system. And this is one of the other options on the drawing board. It just dawned on me. I'm like, I hope this doesn't show my screen, my password. But yeah, easy enough to change. So yeah, so we're logging on to Vertrauen, which is Syncronet. It's the main headquarters for that bulletin board package. What are we looking right now? We're looking at inter-BBS active users. These are users that have come through a door to from another BBS to Vertrauen. Digital Man he's one of those names that goes back quite a long ways. I think late 80s is probably the first time I saw the name pop up, but he is actually the writer, the creator of Syncronet. I'm not going to go into the whole history of this platform, but I've used, what did I start out with? Teleguard, then I switched to World War IV, then WWID, and then I switched to Wildcat, I switched to Citadel, I switched to Syncronet, I switched to, what is the other one? I know I downloaded it the other day, but I haven't gotten to it yet. No, it's Mystic BBS. That was the other platform. And then back to Syncronet. And then I got away from BBSs for years. And then I kind of got back into them, rolled back to Wildcat, rolled back to the last hatch of Teleguard, which just didn't kind of keep up with the tech, and then started running Citadel again for quite a while. Ran Syncronet for a year and a half, something like maybe 2 years, and then kind of got away from it again. And occasionally I go back out and I reconnect to these bulletin boards and I look through. So these are users with birthdays this month. Oh, Minesweeper total for a game. Last few callers, there I am, 12:13. 12:13. Wrong time zone, I think. I was just on like half an hour ago, so I'm not going to bother going through. You can see Digital Man is logged in down here. He's on node 2. Yeah, so I've logged on twice today. And there we go. There's the main menu. So you can read your messages online or by using its queue in this case. And this is one of the other things I kind of talked about last week, where you could log in, get all of your messages, download them, go offline and read them offline. Or reply to messages, do whatever you need to do there, connect back, upload, download. And that would be done through a system similar to this type of bulletin board system, this store and forward type system of messages. So we'll get there as we nail it down a little bit more, but just to show you, let's find our /star. Let's take a look at DoveNet, which we're, so right now you can see he has main, which are his local message bases. He has DoveNet. I forgot what that stands for now. Something Vertrauen network. So it's 2 bulletin board systems that originally started passing messages back and forth. They created their own network. FidoNet. Sorry, guys. I hate it. It's my one thing I hate about winter, other than cold temperatures, is dry air. Anyways, FidoNet. For those of you who were around years ago, it's FightOnet, F-I-G-H-T-O, because of all of the fights that used to break out on that network. FSXNet, I'm not sure what that one is, and then SciNet. Not sure what that one is either. But I know DoveNet because it's what I'm familiar with. What do we got to do here? It's been so long. Oh. Well, I said that. Now list subboards. There we go. Okay. So DoveNet subboards. We can go to general, which would be their chit chat, advertisements, probably for other bulletin board systems, entertainment debates, hardware, software, programming, Unix. You can read down. But yeah, so there's quite a few systems here. Now what happens is you would create this message, and the next time you upload your package, if it goes out to one of those boards, it would go into that message base on, we'll say, Syncronet, on Vertrauen. The next time another bulletin board or another user checks in, they would download that message. If it goes to another board, well, then local users there can reply to it, and it will work its way back to you over time. This is not instantaneous messaging, but I like it. I've always liked it because you get time to look at things, you get time to think. It's not an immediate war on what you're talking about, you know. It's the one disadvantage I give to platforms like Facebook and everything else, because people don't stop and think about what they're going to say. And sometimes passions and tempers flare and wars break out. But it happens here too, so don't think it doesn't happen anywhere else. So anyway, hopefully by now you've read all of those, so you can get the idea of what you can do there. Another cool thing that's one of my favorite parts of this is the games, different styles of games. I have not been playing these games in a long time. We'll take a look at Lord, Legend of the Red Dragon. Whoa, that scrolled by quick. ANSI graphics. Oh God, you either love them or you hate them. I'll scroll back just a little bit to show you this. So here they've done this overall scene of the game. So there's the angels and there's the dragon. Down into the forest, there's your little antsy graphics village. Town square. There's the people in the woods fighting. But yeah, it's a text-based adventure game. And yeah, they've already been on today. Sir Rickles. Where am I right now? I think I'm still in town. Yeah, still in town. Oh no, I'm actually at the inn. So I'm inside. So we can, what can we do here? We can talk, we can flirt with Violet the Virgin. I'm not going to bore you guys with this crap, but if you're a fan of the old boards, bulletin boards or text games, they're still there. They're still out there. We all think of bulletin boards as something that died a long time ago, and they didn't. They're still there. The die-hard fans are always going to use them. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I will, as soon as that case gets in, I'll start creating the next video, and I'll probably just go ahead and release it early, showing you guys the physical build into the aluminum case. And then we'll walk through actually loading the Raspberry Pi. Back up. I need to load it first, then I can put it in the aluminum case, because there's no, same thing with on this one too, there is no access to the micro SD. So once it's in there, it's done. So we need to get it bootable first and accessible, then we'll mount it in the case. But that'll all be in the next video. If I get done ahead of time, I'll release it before next Tuesday. If not, I'll see you guys on Thursday, all right? Be good, be well, wear a mask, stay smart, be strong, stay mighty. And again, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye, guys. Have a great one.